And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone, or sort of happy lunchtime to those who are kind of watching with us at home. Hopefully, we'll have a kind of few people signing on in a second. And if not, and you're watching back on record, thanks for joining us. Unbelievably, this is the final WeAreCareers episode of the calendar year. I still can't believe we started this about 6 months ago. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but there we are. Here it is. We're getting to the end of 2020. Who thought that would arrive? Hopefully, some kind of optimism for 2021. Partly what we're going to be talking about today. So typically, obviously, we've usually got a guest on WeAreCareers, and not the case for today. Today, it's just the two of us, but we're going to be telling you a little bit about what the episode is going to involve in a second. So just as an introduction, for anyone watching the programme for the first time, my name is Chris Webb. I'm an employability advisor at Sheffield Hallam University and a registered career development professional. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Meet Sabiha. So Sabiha, hello, how are you doing today? And happy Christmas, I guess.
Thank you, and welcome to not only my wonderful co-host, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know, Chris, I can't believe that we're already towards the end of 2021. So for those of you that don't know me or want to get to know me, my name is Meet Sabiha. I work in 12 countries as a registered career development practitioner, and I specialize in working with young people who are looking to transform their career potential. And I'm the creator of the 4.0 Class Academy, which is all about upskilling career guidance counselors and helping them deliver powerful career support to their students. Now, I want to encourage all our members that are watching us live right now. If you can hear us and see us, please say hello to us in the chat box. We want to welcome you. And also, if you are enjoying the shows, then please hit the like and share button too. Now, as Chris rightly pointed out, today the show is about you, the members, and what you have to contribute. And we're going to be talking about, the highlights, the lows, and everything in between. Now, for regular viewers, welcome back. And those watching for the first time, it's great to have you here. Pop into the chat box, come and say hello to us. Now, each show, we ask you, the viewer, to nominate either yourself or another member for outstanding, inspirational, and creative out-of-the-box approach to their work. And I want everyone to join us today and recognize this week's winners. Now, you notice I say winners, because today we're going to be celebrating more than one person. Now, if you're watching live right now, please drop a clapping emoji. And if you're watching on the replay, as many of you do post a clapping emoji in the comments thread to show your support. And let's together recognize a few amazing and resourceful practitioners this week. So the first winner is Rish Baru, who's a careers consultant at Nottingham Trent University, and for his outstanding work for promoting the careers profession with the general public by appearing on the BBC Radio Nottingham regarding the BBC's Radio £10 million of work initiatives. So congratulations, Rish. Then we have Sue Edwards, who works at Lancaster University, who works with her team on the GROW program, which has gone from strength to strength and has made a positive impact on all the participants of the program. And I know recently Sue has been promoted as well. So congratulations. Well done, Sue. And then finally, we want to recognize Virginia Rich, who granted a PGC certificate in careers development and coaching studies, and she got a distinction with Warwick University. And I know it's been a tough couple of years, but I know when we spoke, she said that she'd loved every minute of it, and she thanks this community right here, the CDI community, for all the enthusiasm and words of wisdom. And she said that she had not felt alone in this journey. So phenomenal. So once again, congratulations, Virginia.
Wow, and hopefully talking about community. Sabiha, sorry to interrupt, talking about community, no. We've got a lot of the community already on the Facebook group, which is great. So we've got a few whose names we can't see coming up, but we've got Paul Gaunt, who says hello. Hello, Paul, good to see you. Lynn Tulip, who says hello to you both. Hello, Lynn, thanks for joining us. CDI President-elect Carolyn Parry, newly elected, is here with us. Good morning, Carolyn. And a few other users as well. Names not appearing. I'll try and respond to all of these throughout the programme, but great to see everybody on with us today.
Wonderful. So shall we dive right in then, Chris? What are we talking about today?
Let's do it, yeah. So as we've said, it's been 6 months since we set up WeAreCareers, the idea was we couldn't really do anything physically. We wanted to kind of expose little bit additional things within the sector that people might not be familiar with. And lo and behold, we've reached the end of the year, so we thought what better to do than an end of year review of 2020. Some of the good, some of the bad, hopefully not some of the ugly. So we're going to be looking at some of the key challenges that have come up this year. We're going to be looking at some of the kind of green shoots of optimism for 2021. And we're also going to be looking at some of our best bits, because there were some good bits, some inspiring bits in there. And on top of that as well, we're also going to be looking ahead to WeAreCareers for 2021 and thinking about some of the episode options that we've not covered and what sort of things you, the viewers, might be interested in seeing. So as Sabiha mentioned, today is a little bit different. We don't have a guest. You, the viewer, are essentially our guest today. So we're really keen for you to join us as we talk about everything. Share your highlights, share your challenges from the year, and also, share your thoughts about different episode topics, different things we might do with the WeAreCareers share moving into 2021. So to kick things off, Sabiha, let's kind of start with maybe the good bits. I think that's always a good bit to start, isn't it? With an end of year review, start with something positive. We'll do the kind of positivity sandwich, put the challenges in the middle, definitely. So what would you say were your kind of best bits from 2020? Any key things sort of stand out?
Okay, so I think the first, when I was thinking about the best bits, I was thinking about certain themes, and definitely I think in terms of the best bit about our sector, time and time again, I've seen career professionals show such resilience, and particularly when at a time where, we have been forced to isolate, but not feeling alone during that process of isolation. And this community here in the Facebook group has been phenomenal. And I'm also part of several other groups here on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. And they've just been such a great source of support and learning, and really sort of want to echo what Virginia had sort of highlighted about the support and feelings that she'd received. Now, if you're watching live right now, please type in the chat box, those that are watching, and those who will watch the replay, what have been your best tools for 2020? For me, I've got to say, I was thinking about definitely the fact that we're all working remotely now. I was going to put down Zoom or Microsoft Teams. However, there's one tool in my home that I couldn't have done any of those Zoom sessions with, and that has to be my Wi-Fi router. Now, I don't know about anyone else, okay, but I usually, when I start my day, do a little prayer and I go, please, 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 please stay stable, because the idea of like trying to get online or having meetings that are disrupted because my Wi-Fi connection wasn't great was just a nightmare. And there's been the occasional where I've had to have a very firm talking to my Wi-Fi router to say, now come on, today's a busy day and I need you to play ball. So how about you, Chris? What's been your best tool?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think for me, I've just seen Gina's put in the chat, Gina Whisker, Zoom and Teams. Yeah, how did we ever live without them before? It's unbelievable to think about, isn't it? I think for me, it's probably a system called Poll Everywhere. We'll put the link to it in the show resources as always. But Poll Everywhere has really helped me. It's kind of a live polling system, a bit like Mentimeter, where you can kind of capture people's thoughts live. It's embedded into PowerPoints. And honestly, I think delivering workshops without that would have been just horrendous, because it's so hard, as everyone who's done group workshops knows, to get that engagement from behind the camera. Sometimes Zoom chat is okay, but you don't quite get that interactivity. So the anonymous live polling software that's out there, Poll Everywhere, Mentimeter, it's been brilliant, and it's really allowed you to kind of just up the ante a little bit with online workshops, whereas previously perhaps worrying about are you going to get anybody responding to you? So yeah, that's definitely been the top tool for me, I would say.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And speaking of best bits, how about your best song, Chris? What have you been boogieing to in 2020?
Well, quite a lot actually, because of being at home, working from home. So I probably listen to a lot more in terms of podcasts and music than perhaps I did when I was at work. When you're a shared office, you don't want to disturb people. I think wearing headphones at work sometimes is okay, but sometimes you feel it's difficult then to socialise with people. So a lot more stuff. Not so much boogieing. My kind of, I guess, relevant song of the year is by an Irish folk artist called Damien Dempsey, called Sing All Our Cares Away. And it's not a particularly uplifting song when you listen to the lyrics, but I think the message is really appropriate for this year. And he's a fantastic artist. If no one's listened to Damien Dempsey, he's just wonderful. So yeah, I'm listening to a range of things. I actually think, changing the mood depending on how I feel, I guess. How about yourself, Sabiha?
For me, I would say the song that's been playing in the background whilst I've been dancing in my yoga pants in between Zoom call has to be the band The 1975. If you're too shy, let me know. It's got a real sort of like retro, I'm an 80s baby, so it's got a real nice 80s vibe, and that's just been a great pick-me-up. And I know loads of people are commenting in the chat box right now, so again, type in the chat box for those of you that are watching live and those who are watching the replay. What's been your best song for 2020? Because we'd love to hear. We've got a very musical, that's what I've discovered about our members and our communities, that we've got a real musical bunch here. And so, yeah, would love to know what songs have got you all fired up whilst you've been working. Go on, Chris.
Absolutely. Some great comments in there. I think this is one by Debbie. It's not coming up on my screen, but someone else has commented underneath. So I think this is Debbie Dimmock who's made this comment. But so positive to see 2020, an amazing year, turning point in terms of establishing as a career professional. Long way to go, but huge steps in terms of first year of the business. Looking forward to 2021, seeing about where it takes us. So it's so great to hear that, because there have been some positives. It's been a really challenging year. We're going to talk about that, but there have definitely been positives. Before we kind of go through the stuff around kind of comments and just pick up some of those other ones a bit, this leads on quite nicely to maybe the next best bit. So TED Talks, we always love them. It's always good to have some inspiring words of wisdom. Are there any particular TED Talks this year or kind of podcast talks that have really stood out in terms of being appropriate for this year, I guess?
Yeah. For me, it has to be by psychologist Susan David, who shares how the way we deal with our emotions shapes everything that matters, and our actions, our careers, our relationships, our health, and our happiness. And in her TED Talk, she explores this subject, in this deeply moving and humorous and potentially life-changing talk. She challenges a culture that prizes positivity over emotional truth and discusses the powerful strategies of emotional agility. And I think we've all been pushed so much, both in terms of ourselves as practitioners, but also in the work that we've done with our clients as well. And as Chris pointed out, the link for the TED Talk, if those of you that are watching and listening and thinking, oh, I want to watch this, we're going to be dropping the links for everything that we're talking about here today in the resources document, where our support Liz is going to be sharing that document shortly after the show. So Chris, what about you? What's been like your go-to favorite TED Talk this year?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. Just as we come on to that, we're getting a really good Spotify playlist, careers Spotify playlist in the comments thread. So that's great. We've got, I can't see your name, Facebook user, but yeah, I want to break free. I can imagine dancing around the living room to that. I've definitely done it myself. Gina Whitaker says, yeah, Blinding Lights by The Weekend. Seeing too many TikToks. Yeah. Paul Gaunt said One Day Like This by Elbow. So we get a really nice eclectic playlist going on. Yeah, TED Talks. I think like you, I've gone back to one that's a few years old from 2017, and it's by Bill Burnett of the Life Design Lab at Stanford University. People might be familiar with it. It's the book Designing Your Life, for those who've not seen it. So building the perfect career step by step. So effectively it's using design thinking to kind of reframe common career myths. So the idea that careers are linear, the idea that you've got to have it all figured out right now, but it just fits so well for this year, because one of the lines that he comes up with, one of the myths they talk about is, you've got to be your best self. And one of the points they make is, well, why would there only be one best version of yourself? It's crazy. And so the line that I absolutely love is, not letting the unavailable best become the enemy of all the available betters. So, there's so many different versions of you that there could be. And this year's probably shown that to lots of people. We've seen that with the increase in businesses, starting up as well. So I just think it's in a kind of the most non-linear of years, it's such an important message. So well worth watching. Again, we've got the link in the show resources. And hopefully that will be useful to people.
Love it. Thank you for that, Chris. And another Facebook, just kind of picking up on some of the comments that are coming through. Lynn Tulip, I share your pain about Wi-Fi routers. Babes, with you. Honestly, I always say a little prayer. And then we've got another Facebook user who's talking about Action for Happiness has the most amazing presentations. Watch on their website. Ooh, okay, that is new. I've not heard of these. Chris Johnstone's Building Resilience was full of strategies, really useful science to help our own and client well-being. Love it. And then Carolyn has just jumped in, and if you want to laugh at the irony of the metaphor I chose for my TEDx talk, here's the link, and she's dropped the link in to the comment section as well.
I believe with Carolyn, I think it was the redundancy vaccine, if I remember rightly, Carolyn. So as you say, very apt. But unintended.
Love it. And again, for those of you that are watching live and those that watch this as the replay, what have been your best TED Talks? Or is there other, for 2020, and is there others like, one of the Facebook users just shared with us, other sort of like videos that you've been watching that have really sort of helped you in your practice and have helped your clients as well? And so continuing with the theme of best practice, what's been, Chris, your best CDI workshop or event that you've attended in 2020?
Yeah, really good question. And obviously in previous years we'd be talking about, maybe it was the food, but certainly wasn't about that this year. Yeah, Karen, I'm glad I got that right, by the way. I thought that was the, and yeah, lots of references to flu. As you say, we never think about these things, do we, when we do them? And then all of a sudden it becomes really prescient. So yeah, workshops this year, I have to say I've kind of done a bit of a mix. I've sort of been to a fair few sort of CDI ones and quite a few through ADCAS, through the higher education professional body as well. And lots of really good ones, lots of good collaborative ones right at the start of lockdown, with kind of Handshake and Grad Consult, more of the graduate ones. But actually the one that I really enjoyed was one that I was kind of a small part of with CDI President Dave Caudle and Leanne Hambley in March. And that was kind of a creative careers one that was put on by Fiona Arnold, the regional CDI rep for Yorkshire and Humber. And it was really, really interesting because it was just great to kind of be there with, Dave and Leanne, really experienced practitioners, such creative use of kind of visual imagery, metaphors, but very practical stuff that you could use with clients. And so I was talking about a number of things, but to be honest, I was just there to learn from Dave and Leanne. Really, it was great. It was really, really useful. So that was probably my top one. How about yourself?
Well, it sounds like that had a real positive impact for you, Chris. So that's just phenomenal. And it was great to hear that. And I'm just picking up, before I jump into my best sort of event that I've enjoyed this year for 2020, just picking up on some of the comments that are coming through as well. Paul is just recommended checking out Katie Elliott's Little Challenges podcast. Oh, so that's interesting. We didn't. It's amazing because some of us don't want to watch videos. Some of us are more auditory learners. And so, plugging in the earphones and listening to someone talking while maybe perhaps you're cooking dinner. So that's definitely a little good one. So thank you for that, Paul. And then Carolyn has just talking about conferences and events. She's just saying that she's just come out of a conference on creative and cultural skills this morning. And she talks about how she was so struck by this quote: Let people say no to you. Don't say no to yourself. Interesting. How powerful. By ballet dancer Crystal S. Lowe. And then we've got Gina here that's talking about supporting adults and career change thinking with the CDI. So that's been one of her top 2020 workshops. Then we've got here, again, apologies, we can only see Facebook user. I attended the MHFA England mental health first aid course, and it was mind-blowing and really helpful to my practice and how I can help my adult clients with their mental well-being, particularly if they had been affected by what has happened this year. So many, it's interesting, that we're hearing practitioners talking about that, and actually I'm going to be touching upon that. So thank you for sharing that about mental well-being and wellness, because that's definitely something I'm going to be exploring in my challenges for this year. And then we have another Facebook user who's mentioned careers conference inputs from the CDI conference in November, in particular from Tristram Hooley and David Andrews. And so along with that, for me, there was so many, and I think like you, Chris, because obviously we've gone online now and there've been so many. And in the end, I went with the monthly private practitioner Zoom calls, which are run by Mark and the team, where private practitioners come together to explore various topics to support and thrive in our private practice. And and as a private practitioner, it's been really nice to be part of the community on a regular basis, so that you're not feeling isolated, and being able to support others who are on the journey at different points. And so again, keep dropping those comments in the chat box for those of you that are watching live. And please, even if you're watching the replay, we do come back and look at these comments, both myself, Chris, Liz, and Dave. So let us know what was your best CDI event or workshop in 2020. And then that brings me on to best careers website in 2020. We're all, online these days more so than ever. And finding that gem of a website that's really helping you as a practitioner can be transformative, not only for you as a practitioner, but for you, for your clients with the work that you do. So Chris, what's your best careers website for 2020?
Oh yeah, it was a tough pick, a very tough pick. Just before I go on to that, I've just seen Caroline's comment about the Julia Yates workshop on acceptance and commitment therapy. Or ACT. We actually did something similar as a collaboration with our wellbeing team at the university. It was great. So it was kind of a careers and wellbeing mashup with focusing particularly on ACT. So yeah, great to see that being talked about as well. Website wise, a difficult one. I think I've got probably two. I'll be very quick. So one is definitely the Prospects website. So for those who aren't familiar, prospects.ac.uk, lots and lots of stuff. It's kind of billed as a graduate careers website, but I think there's a lot of useful stuff there for people of any age, although it does focus on kind of professions that you need a degree for. But there's some great stuff in there. And I think particularly what I've loved is that a lot of the students that we've worked with and graduates that I've worked with are now appearing as case studies, because we've encouraged them to go and talk to prospects, get your case study on there. So I've had a couple of process engineer, a PhD student, they've just had their profiles on there, and they are now the job profiles. And one of the graduates in particular, the reason he got into chemical engineering was reading the Prospects job profile, and he is now a job profile on there. So it's great to see that sort of stuff, and it's always a valuable resource, Prospects, so well worth having a look at. And the other one, I think, just a shout out to Careers Calendar. For those who aren't familiar, it's an online event activity planning tool for schools, careers leaders. Anthony Adams done a great job with it in terms of, I think he's in around 420 schools now across England, and it's gathering a pace. Really, really nice online tool for kind of managing events, and still just as useful for virtual events. So some great stuff in there. Too many to name really, but just a couple that have sprung to mind.
Thank you for that, Chris. And why didn't I put Prospects on my list as well? Because I was kind of creating my own list. So I love the fact that you mentioned that. And again, for those of you that are watching live and those who are watching the replay, please drop in the comments what's been your favorite website for 2020. Now, before I answer my question, okay, I just want to bring your attention. Has anyone else noticed? So Chris and I, before we do our pre-show meetings, we talked about how we're going to, to take the effort and look a bit festive. I couldn't get my hands on my Christmas jumper in time, so I decided to choose the color red. But has anyone else noticed? Yeah, Chris's flying turkey jumper, loving it, loving it, loving it. Is there Brussels sprouts on there as well, Chris? Yep. So yeah, we just wanted to bring a little bit of a festive vibe. We're approaching the festivities, and I know it's going to look very different this year for all of us, but we wanted to sort of kind of join into that vibe. So what has been my best website? I've got to say, hands down, it has to be jobscan.co. And why do I pick that? So this is a website which, because so many of our clients have been forced to seek new work. And this website, what it does is it helps job hunters create powerful and effective CVs/resumes. And as a result of what it does, it works as an app and it gives prompts and it helps clients to really kind of create powerful resumes that helps them attract, those job interviews, because we know it's tough out there. And we know that some sectors have just been completely obliterated. And some of our clients have had to now, pivot and look at work, find meaningful work in other sectors. And what this app does and what this website does is it helps clients, including ourselves actually, because I know career practitioners have also been using this website. It helps to transform the resumes by helping our clients have a really powerful job hunting strategy tool in their tool belt. Again, what's been your favorite website? Drop your comments into the into the chat box. We'd love to know, and perhaps there's websites that we haven't even thought about, because definitely I'm seeing in the comments that whether it's the songs, workshops, TED Talks, lots of new things are coming through, and we would love to hear about that. Now, we know that 2020 has been a challenging year in so many ways. What have been the challenges 2020 has thrown up for you? And are there any green shoots of optimism you have seen in the career sector, even with everything going on with COVID and the economy? So, Chris, what has been your biggest challenge and what have been your green shoots?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think biggest challenge for me, I think it's often been finding the right words to say to clients, particularly those who've had kind of really great opportunities taken away from them. Everything's relative, isn't it? So if we talk about, university students that I work with that were on track for an industry placement year, they've had that taken away. At the end of the day, they're still on a degree. They're not out of employment, but there is a sense of loss. And I think for people who've worked with individuals who've been hit even harder, they are the main breadwinner. There are mortgages to pay. They've lost their job. It's a deep sense of loss, not just in terms of financial, but in terms of identity, status, all of that sort of stuff. So I think finding the words to say in those instances, I think, has been the biggest challenge. We talk an awful lot about resilience at all stages of education. I think this year has been the year that's really made me realise we have to change the way we do it. I don't think you can talk about resilience in such a glib way anymore, and we kind of have to really be more practical sometimes. And I mean this for myself. There are people doing a wonderful job with this, but it's made me realise that, sometimes I think I've treated resilience as a very abstract thing, but actually, it's how do we make it a concrete thing that we can really communicate to people in a clear way. So that for me has been probably the biggest challenge this year. That engagement, but I think that's been the same for everyone, online engagement. So, that sort of the challenge of talking to people about, the serious issues that people have had, and making sure that we reframe that in a really positive way, but in a way that's actually practical to people. That's been such a big challenge. But I think there is optimism ahead. Whether or not you're very optimistic about the vaccine program, or whether you're a bit more kind of pragmatic, I think there's optimism for 2021. I think a couple of key things that I want to highlight are the upcoming FE Further Education White Paper, which is supposed to come out at the end of 2020, and the Lifetime Skills Guarantee that's been funded through the National Skills Training Programme. So the proof will be in the pudding with these, but it's really, really interesting both to see a move, hopefully, towards kind of a bit more parity between further education and higher education as options for people, and also the Lifetime Skills Guarantee, looking at from April 2021, if this happens in this time frame, you're looking at all adults who don't have a level 3 qualification being given that funding to potentially take one up in key areas where maybe they're able to develop skills. So areas perhaps like engineering, construction, for example, elements of like IT, digital, and a number of other industries as well. Big issues with that. And I'm sure Caroline's on the thread, so I know that she'll probably mention this too, but big issues in terms of, okay, well, what does upskilling, reskilling actually look like, and how do we facilitate that? It's not just a case of saying you need to do this course. How do we get people engaged in that and make it really meaningful, and not just there's a job opening, push you into that, and make it very transactional. So I think there are green shoots of optimism. I think there are things as well around the green jobs-led economy. There are some silver linings around Brexit, although I know not everyone will feel the same way, but there are certainly some things about supply chain and manufacturing that have come from COVID and Brexit coming back to the UK that may well in the long term be a positive. So I'm always an optimist. I think there are definitely some green shoots, and it's great to see some coming through in the chat as well. But Sabiha, I know we're a little bit short on time, so how about yourself? Challenges and sort of, I guess, green shoots. Yeah, what are yours?
Okay, thank you for that, Chris. And I love that. And, I'm just sort of kind of mirroring what you've said. I'm like you, I hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And, I'm just picking up on some of the comments that are coming through. Gina's talking about lots of useful for pre-applicants to university on the prospect site seems to be a winner. Anthony Adams is getting another shout out for the amazing work. There's definitely fans of his work here watching here today. So congratulations to Anthony. Another Facebook user saying, loving the prospect site. So well done to prospects and the team for putting such an amazing website that we're all raving fans about. Carolyn has just talked about her green shoot. Finally, people recognizing the value that we do as great career guidance. So for me, I'm just going to jump in and talk about what are the challenges. And it was really resonating with what one of the Facebook users shared about, which has been to maintain physical and mental wellness during this very strange and often beautiful yet inspiring year. And the whole work-life balance for me definitely needed to be tweaked, as I found myself not pushing that off switch and working strange hours because there was no longer going to the office because the home had become the office. And as career professionals, it was our job to pick up the pieces. And Chris, you've talked about this in great length in today's show, of the shattered career dreams and helping our clients to build up, again, resilience in a practical way, and, and hope, and giving them hope to take action towards their career goals. Yet at the same time, there were days where it was challenging just to keep myself, and I know other practitioners, did you feel this way about keeping yourself motivated and going and taking care of your mental and physical well-being? The one tool that definitely helped me was using 5-minute hacks to reset my mind, and my body was always really useful for me. And in terms of green shoots, obviously, as you all know, and if you don't know me by now, you will know I am really passionate about supporting young people in their career. in their careers and helping them develop what I refer to as career intelligence. And the government have got the Kickstarter program. This is a scheme which will fund hundreds of thousands of, high quality 6-month work placements for young people aged between 16 and 24 who are deemed at risk of long-term employment due to COVID. So I'm super excited about that and what that will mean. And I hope that this really is transformative for those young people who are currently struggling right now. So who else is watching that can relate to what Chris and I have been talking about today? What challenges did you face this year? Drop your comments in the comments box and we will bring them into the chat today. Now, looking ahead to 2021, we've got a lot of great suggestions from members about new episode topics that we haven't yet had time to cover. So which episodes do you think are most important for us to tackle in 2021? And who would you like to have on the show in the new year? Now, today we're going to be experimenting, with one of Chris's favorite tools, which is...
Unfortunately, we're not going to be experimenting. As live TV as so often happens, we've not been able to, for some reason, the poll is not working on my Facebook account. So we were going to give you a bit of a live poll about episodes, but we have the chat function. So if you're watching this live or you're watching it on record, we're just going to ask you to pop stuff in the chat, if that's okay. We've had lots of messages from people about different episode topics. And so some of these included, just to give you kind of a flavour, there were ones suggested around parental engagement, ones around kind of elements of social justice in careers. So that could have been with disability and health. And it's interesting, someone's actually just popped a comment in the thread now about challenges with COVID, still being unwell 7 months on. Of course, it's the elephant in the room. We haven't really even mentioned that, of course, the health problems that have come up as part of that, not just the move to online learning, but of course, individual health as well. So thank you so much for raising that. And we've also had a lot of other episode suggestions. So things around race equity, gender equity. We've had things around industry focus, so looking at particular employers, and focuses on maybe enterprise and entrepreneurship. So there's loads of suggestions we've had, but ideally, please let us know which episodes you think would be most valuable for the new year. And as Sabiha mentioned, what guests you might want to have on. I've noticed in their adult careers advice, so we had Ruth Windon on right at the beginning of the show in the summer. We can certainly do more episodes dealing with kind of advice for adult clients as well. And we really appreciate that feedback. So please do drop in the chat any episode topics, any ideas you think might be particularly salient, particularly useful. Pop them in there and do let us know your thoughts, because we're really keen basically to kind of get the viewers' feedback about this and what will be useful in terms of running the show moving forward. What we're also going to be doing for next week is we're going to be putting a poll, a sort of a slightly more extensive survey, rather like a Survey Monkey survey, on the Facebook group, just to gauge your feelings, your thoughts about the WeAreCareers show and what you've thought of it, what's been useful, what's been less useful, and what you might want to see in the future. So we'd be really appreciative when that does come out. We'll be promoting it on the Facebook group. Please do let us know your thoughts. If it has been useful, we're desperate to hear about it. And equally, we're just as desperate to hear if there's something that could make it even better, because we really enjoy putting the time into these shows. And we really hope we continue to make it a useful resource for practitioners and members of the group. So a couple of comments that have come in that I've seen. Careers leaders, yeah, I think this is a really kind of key one here about, feeling overwhelmed. So maybe kind of particular sort of sessions about careers leaders, bringing in careers leaders as guests. Carolyn's mentioned, obviously, the one that we talked about earlier, wellbeing and mental health, impact on T levels for guidance. So yes, some great topics we can definitely bring in the new year. So some fantastic stuff in there. Sabiha, any kind of final thoughts on this? I know we're going to need to move on to the news very quickly, but anything else from the thread or anything else you wanted to pick up on just before we move on to the news section?
Honestly, I just wanted to say Chris and I think I can speak on behalf of both of us when I say this, that Chris and I are so grateful that, we've had this opportunity to have, put this show on, support our community, to support our, career practitioners. And, I just want to sort of kind of touch upon, and I'm sorry because we can't see your name, but the Facebook user who mentioned that, 7 months on, you're still recovering. So we wish you, a full and speedy recovery in time for the sort of festive season. And definitely in terms of the themes that are coming through as well, we're so grateful because this show is about you and it's about making sure that we're supporting you in the ways that you as career practitioners need your support. So thank you. And if we haven't got to any of your comments that you've shared with us, apologies, because there's been so many of you. You've definitely joined in and engaged with us today. So we're grateful for that as well. And then Chris and Meet Sabiha, you have both been, thank you, Carolyn. We didn't pay her for that, by the way, for delivering the show, as have Liz and Dave. Exactly. Thank you for all your hard work. And that then takes me into the CDI news for today's final show of 2020. So I'm going to whittle through really quickly, because all of this information, as always, will be made available in the resources document, which will be dropped by Liz shortly after the show. So you'll get all of that information in there. So CDI news for the final episode of 2020. The AGM, the CDI AGM, took place on Monday, which was joined by myself and 40 other plus members who attended it. And it was Jan Ellis's last meeting in her current role. Details of the report and financial report can be found on the CDI website. Now, there's a couple of diversity topics that I want to be talking about here today. So diversity, the unconscious bias, CDI, the new diversity resources webpage. Shamim is doing an amazing job, which provides links to the recently published article on addressing unconscious bias and white privilege in career guidance practice. Written by, and I know I'm going to say this name wrong, so I apologize in advance, but Yugana Ramsey and Emma Bolger, who are lecturers at the MSc Careers Guidance and Development at the University of West Scotland. Again, the link for this you can find in the resources document. Equality and inclusion and diversity. A small group of members are looking to run 3 open online discussion panels around the broad topics of equality, diversity, inclusion. And I know that some of you have been commenting in the chat box today around this theme as well, for ideas for what we could do as a potential show. So members who would like to help shape these sessions, take part or lead or facilitate a discussion on any dimension in the future, please contact Jan Ellis. Her email will be made available in the resources document, because they would like to establish a task and finishing group to advise on members' activities in this important area. Also as well, just want to highlight, slightly off topic, but Austin University was named Guardian's University of the Year, has been crowned the University in the Guardian's annual awards for its work eradicating the gap in grades between Black, Asian and minority ethnic students and their white peers, as well as its emphasis on sustainability. Membership certificates. If you did not receive your membership certificate with the October edition of Careers Matter, please email matthew.webster@thecdi.net and they will either send you a PDF version or put a hard copy in the post. Please state which you prefer in the email. David Andrews, Thoughts on Careers Leadership. CDI have published the 12 short essays written by David for the community of practice for careers leader over the past year in one booklet, and it can now be viewed from the website. Free webinars and digital bites. There are so many, and even this month, there are still several that are coming up over the next few days and weeks. So please do head on over to the website, the CDI website, and take a look. Social media trainers. CDI would like to run more events focused on using social media, particularly LinkedIn, Twitter, at an introductory and intermediary level. These might be short courses in our digital bite series, webinars, or masterclasses. If you can provide training on any of these tools, again, please email Jan Ellis for more information about this. We've got some upcoming conferences. So you have the Demystifying Research, Encouraging Curiosity 2021, which is CDI is working with its event partners AGAS and ISEGS. This year's one-day conference will provide preliminary panel on a choice of seminar sessions focusing on an introduction to lots of popular research topics, including doing a literary review, constructing online surveys, which I know will interest many practitioners, sources of funding, and the digital researcher. This event will be launched on the 14th of December. The new date has been announced for the National Tech Festival, which is going to be on Monday the 29th and Tuesday the 30th of March 2021. And then, of course, I couldn't end without mentioning the conferences, which is the CDI are delighted to announce the categories for the 2021 UK Career Development Awards, which will be presented online during a week of celebrations from Monday to Friday, 8th till the 12th of March 2021. And the closing date for entries is Friday, the 8th of January. So you've still got time head onto the website, you'll get to see what categories there are. And then finally, I know we mentioned it, but unless you've been hiding under a rock and you didn't know, we do have a new president-elect. And so we want to once again, welcome Carolyn Parry as the new CDI president-elect. And that's all for the CDI this year. So Chris, over to you for the main news feed.
Fab. We'll keep it very brief. I'll keep it down to my kind of top three. I mean, just very quickly to pick up on Gina's comment about, I think it was in regard to making the Gatsby stuff statutory for FE within the white paper. I would say wait and see. There's a good article that we put in the show resources about the outline of what might be in the white paper, but the detail is still a bit scant from what I can see at the moment. So interesting to kind of see what happens there. And also interesting as well, a topic that came through, what can we do about low rates of pay that are being offered for careers advisors? This is something Sabiha and I have talked about many times, and we've thought about how to address it as a topic on WeAreCareers. So watch this space. We are really keen to talk about it, but we want to make sure it's practical and pragmatic and not something that's not going to lead anywhere. Let's put it that way. We want it to lead somewhere if we have that conversation. So we are definitely thinking of that. In terms of what's on this week, some really good stuff in the Careers Guidance for Social Justice block from David Rowe of CSW Group about green guidance, very topical with the announcements about green jobs in the news recently. Paul Gaunt, who's on the thread at the moment, actually watching live, he and Elizabeth Turp, the second episode of their How We Care podcast is out now. We've put the link in the show resources. It's called The Problem with Positive Thinking. Really, really nice kind of podcast for sort of challenging the way we think about some of these things and what we do within our work with clients. So yeah, really interesting, worth having a read. And then some kind of big reports out this week that are well worth having a look at. One of these is the Education and Employers report that was the research side was led by Dr. Deirdre Hughes, and that was about where children are exposed to career-related learning, the impacts that has in the long term. Some very interesting stuff from Derby there. The Prospects, GISC, AGCAS, What Do Graduates Do report is out this week. Really interesting stuff. Again, looks at where graduates have or what they're doing 15 months after graduating. This is the 2018 cohort. Some really interesting stuff here about mobility. And also about what we kind of define as career success. And that links to, I think, Paul Gaunt's point earlier in the comment thread. So well worth kind of having a look at that too. And then finally, the Careers and Enterprise Company have got a personal guidance in English secondary education, initial return on investment evaluation report. Again, worth having a look at. I'm sure there'll be some kind of comments in there about how it's been addressed. And I know that some career practitioners have something of an issue around kind of how personal guidance is phrased. I have to say, I feel quite similarly, in terms of personal guidance being less connected to kind of career guidance and the terminology. And I think, to be fair, the CEC do identify that, pardon me, within the report. So well worth having a read of those. All the other show resources, including the usual labour market updates, will be in the show resources, along with everything we've mentioned in the show today. But that brings us very nicely to the end of WeAreCareers for 2020. As you probably gathered, we are hoping to be back in 2021. Hopefully that will be well received, but do let us know, if there's anything more that we can do to make this show useful in terms of the timing, content, how we do it, who we bring on. We're all ears, but it's been absolutely brilliant engaging with everybody over the last 6 months. And Sabiha, it's been wonderful co-hosting with you. So I hope everyone has a happy festive season.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Fantastic. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you all in 2021.